Mon général, nous avons vaincu les Prussiens. Ils battent en retraite.
Bien, parfait. Maintenant, allons nous occuper des Anglais.
The Prussians are seen in full retreat, and Napoleon believes he's already won half the battle. He orders 1/3 of his army to continue following the fleeing Prussian troops. It is the morning of June 18, 1815. Napoleon has brought his newly rebuilt army to the fields of Belgium. To face the outnumbered English and Dutch army of the Duke of Wellington. And when the day is over, the future of Europe will be changed forever. Napoleon's army is on the move. They cross the border toward Brussels and attack the Prussian army, led by Field Marshal Blucher, and force them into retreat. Napoleon is now marching toward the British Allies, led by the future Duke of Wellington.
Wellington, who was primarily a defensive master, looked at the ground and he said, since Napoleon is on the offensive, where do I want to defend?
Wellington chooses a battleground just to the south of a village called Waterloo.
The battlefield of Waterloo was basically a wide valley running from west to east. To the north stands the Allied army. Looking directly at them, you have the French army, a massive army.
The position that Wellington chose to accept battle from Napoleon was behind a ridge line, and that allowed him protection from direct fire from artillery, from direct observation.
His biggest advantage, he picked the battlefield. He knew the ground, and he knew how he would defend it.
Wellington expects a full French assault at dawn, but to his surprise, it doesn't come.
He has 30,000 more troops than we do. They're all veterans.
And he's a direct line of supply. Yet he does nothing.
Il est presque 10 heures.
Le sol est si boueux que l'artillerie ne peut pas se déplacer.
It had been raining for days. That, of course, limited the mobility of cavalry and the ability of cavalry horses to pull guns into position. So the battlefield favored the defender. In other words, Napoleon had a problem.
If Napoleon waits for the ground to dry out, his army may fight more effectively, but it may also give the fleeing Prussians time to circle back and join Wellington.
Peut-être devriez-vous donner l'ordre d'attaque?
Je donnerai l'ordre quand je jugerai que c'est le bon moment. Jusque-là, nous attendons.
Armchair generals have argued for decades about Napoleon's decision to begin the battle late in the day. While some believe the muddy ground was the main issue, not everyone agrees.
Napoleon certainly does seem to have grown more weak and lethargic in his later days. He had no real combat experience recently. Some argue that he just lost the edge.
But there is evidence of a more compelling reason for the emperor's delay: illness.
He had pituitary problems, he had hemorrhoids, he had stomach problems that were not very well diagnosed. He was vomiting throughout the night, and how much sleep he even got is really in question.
Napoleon's ill health was kept secret from everyone until nearly 100 years after Waterloo, when documents revealed the serious condition of his health. Rather than fighting a battle to save his empire on that morning, Napoleon should probably have been in a hospital.
If you want to get an idea what it was like for Napoleon to be on the battlefield of Waterloo, you have to envision that you have had an entire box of laxative. You have then ridden 20 miles and stayed up all night. And now somebody says, You have to command a war game. What condition are you in?
With Napoleon refusing to give orders and the sun already high, Marshal Ney begins to take command of the French army on his own. His first order is an assault on the walled chateau called Hougoumont. Wellington's defensive line stood on a ridge at Waterloo. But in front of the line stood two fortified buildings, Hougoumont and La Haye-Sainte. These were key elements in Wellington's defensive strategy against Napoleon. Troops and sharpshooters in the walled chateaus would prevent the French army from a simple advance over open ground.
He considered them to be breakwaters, if you will, so that when the waves of French forces came against him, they would be forced to hit Hougoumont and La Haye-Sainte.
The strategic importance of the two farmhouses was that they prevented the French army from simply advancing over open ground.
It would divide up the force of the attack coming forward, splitting up the troops into channels that you can then bombard with artillery.
Under Ney's orders, 4 regiments of infantry marched toward Hougoumont. If they can capture it, the left side of the British line will be undefended and open to attack. Inside the chateau are a handful of men from the Coldstream Guards, an elite British regiment. At 10 a.m., the French attack. The fighting at Hougoumont is fierce, but by 11:30 that morning, the British repel the first assault and prepare for a siege.
Well done, men.
The first shots have been fired. At Waterloo, the battle is underway. Despite the Allied success at Hougoumont, Wellington knows he'll need the support of the Prussians to beat Napoleon.
Are we certain that the Prussians are going to come?
As certain as one can be of anything in war, which is certain of nothing at all. Perhaps the French defeated them yesterday, and that's why there's no rush to attack.
But the wrath of Napoleon has just begun. Soon the Allies will get a taste of his most powerful weapon. Blood is about to be spilled on the fields of Waterloo. A French attack on the chateau called Hougoumont, ordered by Marshal Ney, has failed. But it has signaled the start of the Battle of Waterloo.
C'est quoi ce coup de feu? Qui les a tirés?
Une escarmouche, Votre Altesse.
Où c'est?
Sur notre gauche, le château. Je crois que nous progressons.
Ah oui. Ça a commencé.
Votre Altesse, est-ce que...
Oui, commencez! Commencez! Faites goûter les Anglais nos canons de 12. Allez-y!
Hold that line, lads.
At noon, the French artillery opens up on the British lines.